Welcome to the Real Raw You podcast, a podcast where we talk about real life issues and giving yourself permission to be your real, authentic self. I'm your host, Rebecca Alexandria. I'm so excited you're here, and I can't wait to dive into this week's episode. I am really excited for this episode because I have someone who is like my dearest friend. They are a content creator, a photographer. They do so many things, and I'll let them actually say a little bit more on what they do. But please welcome one of my dearest, closest friends, Jenna Black.
Hello, everyone. As she stated, I am Jenna Black, and I claim to be a worship leader and photographer, and I do content creation. I actually just started a coffee page called the Posh Puck, so you can check us out.
Okay, come on, claim. I like that word. I'm gonna start using that.
Mhm.
That's a good word. I like that. So, I was really excited to have you on the show because I wanted to have a topic of just girl talk. And to be honest, and I think I shared this with you, I had no idea where to start because I didn't know, okay, how to start off a conversation with girl talk. So, I did what normal people do. I went to Google, and Google came up with a gazillion questions. And a lot of these I found very interesting. So I just figured I can read off some of these questions and we can just talk about it and give our like personal opinion, if we do it or not, all of that good stuff. So what do you say? You down for it?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. So one of the questions that I wanted to start off with, because I still struggle with this, I don't do it very well, is self-care. Do you think self-care is important? And if so, why is it important? And what self-care things do you do?
I think self-care is very important because you always have to have a totem to center yourself when you feel like you're getting off kilter, and you just need to put oil in the tank on a regular basis so you're able to function properly in every aspect of your life. Um, Things I do, I work out, um, I go outside, listen to music, and just get alone sometimes just to like clear my head. Like, you just got to do what works for you. Got to find what you like.
How do you know when it's like it's time for you to do self-care? Because a lot of times we can run on such an empty tank, and then when we finally do self-care, we can be doing it kind of now, like, I don't want to say begrudgingly, that's not the right word I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean? Like, at least for me, sometimes I can just keep going, going, going. And then by the time I actually think about doing self-care, it's just kind of like it don't really do too much because I waited too long.
Ooh, I know it's time for me to do self-care when I get easily agitated, like very snippy very quickly, and I know like my tone and my responses are getting very sharp. I'm like, okay, girl, you need to go by yourself and regroup, get some love in your tone.
That's good. Well, then how do you know? How do you know? Because we're females. So how do you know versus I need self-care versus you just not being hormonal? Like if we're being real, you know what I mean? Because sometimes
Um,
those hormones can go up and down.
um, I I mean, I feel like hormonal is all the time. You can't live in your emotions though. You have to
Yeah.
gain control. I For me, I lived in my emotions for a long time, and now that I don't do that anymore, um, I can feel myself when I'm slipping back into like
Mm-hmm.
extremely hormonal or even sometimes depressive, to be honest. And so I'm like, okay, girl, you need to go work out and like let that be your focus. Like give total focus over to a um self-care action, for example, i.e. exercise, something that's going to like clear your mind. You're only focused on that, and then
Mm-hmm.
it allows you to come out and have a fresh perspective on what's going on.
Do you ever take yourself on like day dates? Like, do you ever like date yourself?
Honestly, a day for me is like going to the coffee shop and like reading my Bible. Like
I
that's what I
love
like to
that.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like to go sit like coffee shop or like I go on Barnes and Nobles and look at all the pretty journals or cookbooks. I like coffee table cookbooks.
Hmm.
And like I'll just look through those. That's a day for me. Get some coffee and just like chill. Like sometimes I'll do like a bath and like I'll put like oils, essential oils and stuff in it. Or make myself like an elaborate breakfast or try a new recipe. That for me is like, okay, yes, let's do a TikTok recipe.
TikTok do come in clutch though. I found so many different, first of all, there's so many different things I didn't realize I was doing wrong until I watched TikTok.
I'm screaming.
But it's so real. You know those videos like, did you know? Like I was this day, what does it say? It was like I was today years old when I found out. Like I was today years old
Yeah,
when I
like
found
Andy
out
Griffin
that's
was the same. Yeah, like stuff like that. I was like, oh my God, was Matlock. Like I was like, oh my God.
right. I didn't even realize I was just in the colander wrong.
But
You
then
know,
when
I
I
grew
the
up,
colander,
yeah, you're supposed to. So I would put the colander in the sink or whatever, and then I would dump the content in the colander. They say you're not supposed to do that. They say you're supposed to put it over top of it, and then it's supposed to wring it out.
I mean, you're probably right, but it's like tomato, it all does the same.
Also, I didn't even know, like, when you go to Chick-fil-A, like there's certain flaps on your cups and the certain flaps that they give you for like your chicken nuggets and stuff, they actually give you a spot to put your sauce.
Oh yeah, that definitely probably would have been coming clutch driving in the car.
And I didn't know that. I
Yeah, me neither.
literally find out I really feel dumb and when I watch TikTok because I'm like, I
You
didn't
don't have to feel dumb, just feel informed.
listen, TikTok is a new school. That and YouTube. I mean,
Low
they might
key.
as it's called YouTube University. They might as well just, everyone stop paying all these thousands of dollars, and student loans, and we can just watch YouTube and TikTok and we all be straight.
I
We're
mean,
not
low key, you're right.
literally saving yourself thousands of dollars. I like how
Right.
you said about your ideal date though, because for me, I'm the same way. Like I love going to coffee shops. I love um going by the beach. I love looking at pretty things, even if I don't buy it, because maybe my bank account other times says, don't do that, girl.
I'm
You still have
screaming.
bills, you know. But I also, without putting your business out there, but you also are dating, like you have a boyfriend. Like, what do you like to do from that transition of being single now that you're dating? Like, what is your ideal date with your man?
Oh gosh. Um,
And if he's watching or listening, hey,
with my, I mean, it doesn't really change. Like we go to Starbucks, like, or like honestly, we're long distance, so um, I mean, just normal stuff. Go to the movies. I just like the honestly, I'm a quality time type of person, so I don't really have to like do too much as long as I'm with you. And like half the
yeah, I
time I
feel
see
that.
him is in church. Honestly, like we go to a church service and I'm like watching him play or like I'm singing, he's playing, like type of
Yeah.
deal. But just as long as like we're spending time. But I will say that we or I'm not gonna lie, he's more intentional about being like, no, we're going on a date today. And he'll like set a date because
I
he's
love that.
out of town a lot. Like I picked him up from the airport, what was it, Saturday? And he was like, okay, I'm out of town this whole week, but when I get back, we're going on a date. And I'm like, okay, I'll be the child. We're going.
Do you remember that topic though? But the whole cheesecake thing, the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, bogus. I listen, if you like Cheesecake
Thought,
Factory, go.
thought. So would you be down for if your man took you to the Cheesecake Factory?
Yeah, I don't care. I like their little tamale cakes. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
those
I
are
thought
good.
the Cheesecake Factory was a nice restaurant. I mean, it's not like a five-star restaurant, but I mean, it's pretty inside, and those cheesecakes are pretty expensive.
I mean, the
So
cheesecakes are good,
they're
but I
good,
mean,
yeah.
it's not 5 star, but it's also not Golden Corral. So I mean, hey, here we are.
I mean, call me a cheap date, but I mean, not for the first date, but maybe. maybe by like the third, you can probably take me to go in the corral. I probably would not be ashamed. The third date, I
I ain't
feel
gonna lie,
like
my first date with Chris was Chili's, so there's that.
they got the two for what is it? The 2 for 20, the 10 for 20 or something. It's
I
somehow
don't
ridiculous.
even remember. I think I got like those little Southwest rolls. It was straight. But it
I
was
mean,
also very late. Like I said, he had gotten out of rehearsal and he was like, I want to go out today. And I was like,
oh,
okay. But I mean, I'm really not that picky as long as I don't really like buffets. Like that's just a rule of thumb. Like I'll
mm,
go, but like the whole time I'm in distress. And I definitely don't like McDonald's because I saw somebody smoking a French fry and I just can't. Like McDonald's is last resort. I might get a McFlurry, you know?
I mean, I love McDonald's. I mean,
I
this
mean, I hear you. However, here we are.
you definitely cannot beat those fries.
I know, but like if you leave the fry in the car, what happens to it? Does it mold or does it crystallize?
I kind of don't want to think about that, to be honest, because
But that's what I'm saying. You're putting it into your body.
I mean, a lot of like food that we eat is actually very toxic, you
I
know.
mean, this is not a lie, which is why you gotta like carefully. I mean, at the end of the day, pray over your food, folks. But
Hmm.
I mean, that's just I've seen it. I've seen it in live action and I literally cannot. And then buffets, even before COVID, it was just like we used to like, we used to go to Ryan's and
Yeah.
like Golden Corral, like all growing up after church. Then one day I just like looked around and I was like, this is a feeding trough and I don't want to be a part anymore. And it's just like gross. Like everybody's touching the handles. Can't.
I ain't gonna lie though, I was a little grossed out after a while because you mean you look at it and do it does give off this needs to be stirred or
Right. That's what
something
I'm
or
saying. The
switched
food is just
out.
out. You don't
And then
know
the
what
little
happened to it
kids,
before
and you
you
got the
walked up
kids,
there.
the parents have been watching the kids, and the kids be trying to touch the food, and you just feel like this is nasty a little bit, low
And
key. It really,
exactly, I bet that chocolate fountain is a cesspool. Like I can't.
yeah. I'm sure they
But
touched.
I
I never
mean,
got
to
it
each
though.
his own. If y'all love go to crowd, eat there. If you love, now those are two places, but it's not because like of the price range and the food quality. It's like I'm mildly a germaphobe. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. So,
Hmm.
like, since we're still on the topic of dating, what is like deal breakers for you? Like, I know
Cheating.
you got your man now. Like, he's a really great guy, guys. But like, we all dated some frogs. Some of them we try not to think about. But like, what are deal breakers in a relationship? What is something that you're like, I'm not doing this. It's over if this happens.
Cheating. That's number
Oh,
one. Um, Let me see what else. I mean, at this point, any form of abuse, honestly, emotional.
yeah.
If you're condescending, like they might not necessarily know like they're being condescending, but I don't like that. And if you're not like innately kind, like if you only do things to make yourself look good and it's not like genuine,
Yeah.
like I don't like that. And it's like I tried to like make it fit, but like no, you can move on. We'll move on, you know?
The fact that we're all in our 30s and the fact that people still do that. Because
Yeah.
after a while, it's giving off, you're getting just getting old and bitter, and you too old for that.
Yeah.
You way too old for that. Do you think guys should always pay for everything, or do you think like when you start dating, it should be like an equal?
Oh gosh. I mean, if he got it, then he got it. If you got it, then you got it. If y'all both got it, take turns, you know what I'm saying?
I love that.
That depends. That's on y'all, you know what I mean?
I loved. She said, "If you got it." Liz, I heard someone say like, I mean, if I don't have to pay,
This is my thing. A real man, when he comes into the picture, he wants to take care of you. It's not a
Come on,
question.
teach us, teach us.
So, like, and then if he doesn't have it, like, you should be like he should be able to tell you like, hey babe, it's kind of tight this week, like you got it or you got me. And then you
Hmm.
shouldn't just want to see him be breaking his back all the time. Like you
Yeah.
gotta treat him too. But like I said, a real man, when he comes into the picture, you will know the difference. Trust me.
Yeah, because I heard a lot of people say, I had conversation with different guys, not in a dating aspect, but just like guys who are my friends, and they would bring up the topic. One person brought up the topic of like, would you date a guy with potential? And I'm just like, y'all kill me with that potential. Because it's kind of like, what potential are we talking about? Like, are you riding the bus potential and you still living at home with your mama, but we talked about McDonald's, but is that like your only source of income, yet you're not going to school? Like what kind of potential are we talking about here? You know?
I
Um,
mean, I guess it would just depend on, are we talking about financial potential, or like are you talking about like him growth mentality as a person? Because that's the difference. Like it has to
yeah.
match where you're at. If your paths and purpose are not aligned, then you shouldn't be there. Like, and that's the key when you're trying to figure out what type of potential are you going to be staying for, or unless you heard from heaven, this is your man, wait until he's
Mm-hmm.
ready. Like, no.
Mm-hmm. I get you.
So McDonald's at this stage in my life,
No.
if he was a manager, and he had his ducks in a row. But like for me personally, I am more of an entrepreneurial mind. So
Yeah.
I like somebody who can take something out of nothing and develop things.
I like that.
Um, so I am dating with the prayer to marry a producer. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that. I always feel like way, at least for me, it's like I date to marry. Like I'm not just out here trying on everything. Like I'm just like either you the one or you not. And if you're not, we just not gonna waste our time. We gonna move on because
I
there's
mean,
I don't need a
yeah.
friendship. I got enough friends.
I'm
So
there now. I couldn't say that like a while ago. I was just kind of, city girl up, back in the day.
right. I mean, I always don't mind dating. I mean, the Lord, I think I remember you don't remember this. The Lord had gave me a word years ago and was like, he didn't want me to date. And I was 18. And he's like, I don't want you to get your heart away. And when you're
Oh
18
man.
years old, that's not a word quite that you want to hear, you
I
know?
mean, for sure. Why can't I date?
Right. And then I kind of got involved in a couple things and with a couple people, and I gave my heart away. And then I was like, yep, I see why, Lord, you said that because the breakup parts are the hardest. So you're like, and you can't get that back. So I get
Yeah.
it. But at the time I was like, I don't want to receive this word. But now I get it. And so I am learning to be more content being single and enjoying singleness and doing me because I don't have to answer to nobody. I don't have to be like, how should we spend our money? If I want to go out, go out,
I hear you. I hear
you
you.
know?
I think for me, it was kind of like not that I wanted to be like in a date to date situation. It was kind of like my first like legit dating experience was traumatic. And
Mm,
so after that, I'm kind of like, if I thought I was doing everything right and in the will of God, like, why did this happen to me?
yeah,
So after that, I was just kind of like, we just gonna see what's out there, because if I'm trying to stay in the world and this still happen, like, what in the world? And
right.
so I had to like recuperate from that, and unfortunately made a lot of terrible relationship decisions in the meantime, because I'm just kind of like, we out here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like that at all.
Yeah, it doesn't. I get you. Thank you for being real about that. I do want to
Oh yeah.
pivot, real quick because we both, like, I personally, I don't remember when we met because we joke about that. We probably met at church. I just remember
Yeah.
y'all always being there. I don't remember a time when you guys weren't in my life. So that's just how long we've known each other. But the
Right.
pivot is like we both grew up in a Christian household. We both grew up in the faith and things like that. And I've seen a lot of people who grew up in the Christian household, and unfortunately, some people like turned away from their faith or they're kind of like teeter-tottering and all that kind of stuff. They're not really all in. What was your like upbringing like being in a Christian household, having past your parents. Like, was that ever hard for you at times? Did you ever feel like those moments where you're like, let me just rebel? Or like, what was that like?
Yes, I had moments like that. Um, I feel like anytime like in my adolescent years, I was just being dramatic. Like everything was just I had
Mm-hmm.
moments where I didn't want to necessarily do what I was like the right thing all the time. But I
Yeah.
was a goody two shoes. Like I legit had like a relationship with God. So for me it wasn't hard. It was just hard being alone all the time. I felt
Mm-hmm.
alone. So it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to rebel. It's just like I'm tired of being sad all the time because I have to do a lot of stuff by myself. I felt like I would be in a room full of people all the time, but not
Yeah.
like making like genuine connections or somebody who identified like
Right.
with me. Um so I'm and then I like remember actively just like praying for like genuine relationships. So that's always been like important to
Mm-hmm.
me. So and then after that, it's not like I ever like stopped having a relationship. It's just kind of like when I moved away, I was like, okay, I'm in a different state. I'm not gonna be shaming the name. So we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
see, it wasn't necessarily like intentionally rebelling. It was more of like because of where I was living and who I was around.
Yeah.
It was more of like a survival type thing because when I moved away, I wasn't aware like the area I was moving into was like the ghetto, low key. It was like the
Yeah.
trap, like the SWAT was out there,
Oh, you was in
and
the ghetto. Okay.
yeah, like it was crazy. Like when I lived in Florida, it was crazy, and it was like I felt like I was making friends like so they wouldn't rob me. Like I was like, okay, if I'm cool with him, he's not gonna rob me because I know he just robbed him the other day. Like that type.
Uh-uh.
Oh
That was like
no,
a
yeah,
completely
for
different
sure.
world for you.
Huh?
That was like a completely different world for you.
Right. I was very sheltered and I even now that I'm older, I'm like, I understand why people keep you in a bubble, but like if I had a known because I did grow up so sheltered, I didn't know what signs were to tell exactly what type of people I was actually around. Like I'm just like, oh, let me just be nice. Let me just be
Yeah.
but no, these were criminals robbing convenience stores and I mean, dealing drugs out of their room. And it was like complete culture shock. And I felt like I was like, and then I was a
Yeah.
professional pedestrian. I didn't have my car. I was always having to like ask people for rides and stuff. And like, I was like, in my program, there weren't like that many females. And so like, I would be asking for a ride because we had like labs and stuff at like 2 a.m. in the morning and I
Mm.
didn't want to be like waiting for the bus. So I'd be asking, a guy for a ride home. But low key, he was really trying to hit on me. So it was just kind of like I was always like in like alert mode when I lived
And
there.
Florida was like, was that was your first secular, I don't want to use, I guess secular, but
No,
like,
and no, because I went to private school my entire life and then I went to Liberty for college.
yeah,
No, that was my first like experience, like not
in a
and it was
Christian environment, like,
exactly like when I did my orientation for school, like they were like, "Hey guys, if you get caught with weed, right, the right pocket is the intent to sell. The left pocket you're not gonna go to jail for." And I'm like, "Okay, this is where I'm
oh
at." Like,
wow. Hey.
yeah, yeah, that was my orientation at school. But that was like that kind of industry life, like,
Yeah.
and so from that experience, like I had to decide, like, even when I came home from after school, like, am I gonna be in the industry and like never be home, like put family and stuff on the back burner, or like, am I gonna come home? And, like I had to make a decision, like when I left. And so, um, yeah, that whole experience was different. I always say Florida has different demons. Like, it's crazy
Mm-hmm.
down there. Yeah.
Wow. So what was your journey like to like get back to that space of like intimacy with God and, you know, I'm not gonna tell everybody where you are now just because not because I won't, but Jenna's very humble like that, you guys. So I'm gonna drop in the comments more things that she does because she's like playing it cool about certain things that she does. But to where you are now, I guess I should can say.
So again, uh, me moving away to Florida was like very pivotal, I guess, in my life.
Yeah.
So when I came back, it was like after I graduated, I was actually in like a terrible relationship, like fastly going. It was very emotionally abusive, fastly turning
Mm.
physically abusive. And I just was in my room one day and I was like, Lord, um, I know like I got myself into this situation or whatever, but like it doesn't matter, like, like I want to choose you, like it's
Yeah.
me and you. So it's not that I was saying if he got me out, because I didn't know if I was gonna get out, honestly. It
Wow.
was just kind of like I was like, Lord, it's me and you, and I'm breaking it off of
Mm.
him. And like at this point, like if I perish, I perish, but I got to make the right decision. And I know it's
Yeah.
not with him. And so I have to be brave enough to end it regardless of the consequences. So after that, I was just like, I'm not living on the fence. I'm not
Yeah.
playing with fire. Like, it's me. Like, go broke or go home, because at the end of the day, like the devil ain't playing with you. It's life or death.
Right.
So after that, like being like coming out of that, making that decision, that was it. Like I was just like, all right, Lord, like, well, make it happen, Captain.
I mean, I like what you said too about that, not like being in an abusive relationship, whether that's physically, emotionally, verbally, right? Abuse is abuse. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times we stay in these relationships because we don't feel good enough about ourselves. We don't feel loved enough. We're needing something, trying to fill a void, and we think this person or this thing is like loves us, but we don't realize that it's actually killing us on the inside because it's making us worse, not better.
Right.
And so many people stay in these situations that they really should be getting out of, but for whatever reason they don't. And I love that you did touch on that, and hopefully whoever listens, will have that encouragement they need to know, like, sis or bro, like if they ain't treating you right, get out of it,
And that's
run.
true. That's true. And like I said, I'm I'm one of the lucky ones. Like I said, because everybody, I mean, God really had His hand on me.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm one of the lucky ones to be able to make it out. Some people aren't so fortunate when they try to break up with people that they're not supposed to be. So like I said, He had His hand on me. Like I had
Hmm.
like a lot of grace. I had a praying grandmother, and also probably, yeah, I know people were back here praying, because I was like trying to keep it a secret,
Yeah.
that I was in that type of situation. And I remember calling Michaela, and I told her, Kayla, um, like I didn't want her to tell my parents, but I was like, hey, if something happens to me, this is who did it. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Wow.
got that bad. Yeah. So like I
But let me
said,
tell you
I
something though. When you grow up in a Christian household and your parents walk with the Lord, and I mean not like play walk with the Lord, I mean really walk with the Lord, you first of all, you can't get away with a lot of stuff anyway. Because I know when I grew up, you know how many times I would hear the saying of like Holy Spirit told me. Now
yeah,
some things I think is still questionable, I'm not gonna lie. But there
I am
was certain
screaming.
some some things I'm like, okay, all right. I think that was your flesh, but okay. But
Yeah.
the reality is that, Holy Spirit does warn us, and he does, when people are praying, like you said, when you have people that are praying and they're intercessors and they're covering you in the blood, the Lord will reveal at times if you are doing something and what to pray over, so that way you're protected. And so,
That's true. And He'll send people on your path. Like shout out to Nicole Trapp, because
yeah.
she had no. I don't even think she knew what was going on, but like she would come and pick me up and take me to church on the weekends. But like
Mhm.
low key, I was hiding. Like I was hiding from him. Like, and she would come get me, and I would be like, "Woo, I'm away for the weekend." Um,
Wow.
yeah, but and she ain't even know. She's just taking me to church. She's like a family. She's family. Like that's my
Yeah.
sister to this day. Like I still call her.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, he'll send people like that on, they don't even know they're actually on assignment and like helping you through like a difficult situation. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
praying family, praying intercessors, and people being obedient and just being kind, showing hospitality. Like that's in the Bible too. Like all of that's important. And you're helping people grow and walk through their deliverance, going from glory to glory. Cause you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That you working through your salvation, you know? Everybody
Yeah.
gotta work.
That's a word.
Yeah.
And that's truth. That is so true. Um, so we're gonna wrap it up here in a minute, but I did want to just ask you, if there's something that you can say to encourage someone who's listening or, who maybe walked through a similar situation like you just walked through, because I know we pivoted and it kind of ended, on a different note, which I think is beautiful because that's your story. And there are people who, like I said, who are in situations like that. They may not be physically being abused, but they could be emotionally abused, which, in my opinion, that takes a lot longer to heal than a bruise on your body. That emotional things can take sometimes a lot. Or your childhood. Like, is there anything that you would want to say to encourage those who are listening? Whether it could be even something funny, like, drink coffee, live your life, self-care, hey, whatever,
I am screaming. Um, Let me see. I mean, based on the way we just kind of ended, let me see. Like low key, like if you know you're not supposed to be somewhere, pivot. If you
Yeah.
feel like the Lord is telling you to do something else, pivot because He's not gonna dock you for trying to listen to His voice. Like,
Mm.
go with God.
Unpack that a little more, sis.
Would you be?
He's not gonna dock you. Like, you gotta unpack that, you gotta.
I mean, like people are so scared to move, scared to try, scared to do things because they don't want to be out of the will of God. But like,
Yeah.
you have to go. Like, if you're actively seeking God's face, asking Him questions, listening, like He's gonna tell you, He's gonna alert you. He's not just gonna keep letting you wander. He's gonna send somebody. You're gonna come across the scripture. You're gonna know in your knower like this ain't
Yeah.
it or this is it.
I
if
like
you're
that.
if you're really seeking God's face, it doesn't matter if it's about a relationship or anything. Like there'll be flags about the relationship, there'll be flags about your career, there'll be flags about friendships. Like he'll talk to you about it. Like, and even if like you start to make the wrong decisions, like he'll recalibrate you. Like he's not the type of guy to leave you to yourself. So
That's so good. That's a word. Okay. I don't know if anybody else needed that, but I need to hear that. That is a word. That was good, sis.
I'm
That
weak.
was good. She said, "I'm weak." Okay, so before I let you go though, I want to play a quick game with you.
Okay.
You the first one to play the game with. It's
All
this or
right.
that questions, but you got to be quick. And I'm just gonna shoot out some questions. You just gotta let me know this or that,
All
really
right.
quickly. So, do you like playlist or podcast?
Podcast.
Shoes or slippers?
Oh my God. Slippers.
I know that's right because that's comfortable. Pork or beef?
Ugh.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
I mean, I guess if I had to, beef.
Chicken, lamb,
Oh boy.
swimming pool or beach?
Beach, definitely.
Fruits or vegetables?
Vegetables.
I know the answer to this one. Cats or dogs?
Oh my gosh, dogs.
Yes, Jenna, for whatever reason, doesn't like cats.
I'm allergic.
They have hyperallergenic cats.
Girl, bye.
Summer or winter?
I don't even know anymore.
I mean,
Um,
our birthdays are in the summer because we're only like five
I'm
days,
s-
5 days
I'm
apart.
still gonna say the winter. I'm still gonna say the winter.
Cash or cards?
Cash, cash, cash.
Farm or city?
Oh, that is so hard.
It
My
is?
rich self, yes, my rich self wants like a homestead and like homeschool my kids on a farm. But like
Since when?
I always like I look up beehives and like how to have like what do you call them, greenhouses and like chicken coops. Like I already have the one that I want to build picked out.
But you're gonna be
Haven't
outside milking the cows and cleaning up the pig
I
poop?
didn't say cows. We said chickens. I don't know if it ever gets to that point where I get cattle, like maybe like, and we'll call it like, I
Because that's
don't
a
know.
farm.
We'll call it Summerland Farms or something exotic.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. We'll come up
You
with a
want it.
name for my farmland, and then we could be like the show Dallas, and then I'll be riding on my horse and with my hair blowing in the wind. My kids will be out there helping. It'll be a whole movie.
I'm city, 100% city.
Yeah.
You're not gonna catch me living on a farm. Text or call?
I don't even like being on the phone anymore for real.
Same. I feel like that's just too much
Either, like
energy.
neither.
I've gotten that way too. It's the extra communication I don't feel like doing.
Yeah.
New phone or new clothes?
Well, right now I'm gonna say new phone, but that's just because I like the camera on the new iPhones because
Yeah.
I don't want to use it to talk. I could care less.
Do you want to be the driver or the passenger? I want to be the driver because
No, I'm a passenger princess through and through. I literally cannot drive. I'm a terrible driver and I'm not afraid to admit it. Everybody knows it's a
a little
thing.
bit,
I'm not gonna lie to you about it.
a
It's
little bit.
tragic. If
You
I
got
feel uncomfortable
better.
on the highway, I literally turn on my hazards.
You got better. You know.
Mm, I mean, I've never been in an accident or gotten a speeding ticket, if that counts for anything, but here we are, Lord.
Well, you know my story. That's not my testimony, but that's gonna be another podcast for another day, you guys. It's the last one. Do you want movies or TV shows?
Oh my gosh, this is so hard. I can't choose because like I like a good character development. It doesn't matter if it's television or a
Yeah,
movie as long as it's cinematically like intriguing, like color palette, location, set design. Like I look at stuff like that. So it doesn't matter if it's the movie or a, you know, type thing.
I love that. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on all social media platforms. Until next time.